Hi, this is Jose, and these are my answers to the questions. Well, for the first one, yeah, for the work that I, well, for the work that I did with the University of Sergio Brodera, I usually got into meetings with people like the interns, like the professors, to explain or implement the solution. And basically, what I do is just to explain them using diagrams, using use cases, using a brief that I share with them for they to write all the information about the process or the workflow, and then share that information with me. I share most of the information with them as well, because when we're talking about AI and non-technical people or product managers, as it says, the approach must be zero technical things, more of a explanation of how the workflow is done. So, how do I explain complex ideas? Now, for the second one, how do I explain complex ideas? It's usually I use a software called Miro, which is designed for doing workflows or creating diagrams of use cases, class diagrams, stuff like that. And I basically design the whole workflow without using any kind of technical thing. Like, here's where the information is taken from, then it goes inside this AI agent that calculates this and this and that and outputs this and this and that. And basically, a whole model, a whole diagram of how the model works. And for explaining things like prompt engineering, I usually use the create approach, and I explain to them that an AI is basically a brain without eyes, without mouth, without ears, without fingers. So we must be really explicit about the data input and the data output, the things and variables that are inside the workflow. Be really explicit about the workflow as well, since as I told him before, an AI doesn't have the capacity to be as connected with the physical world or with the action that we're doing, since it doesn't have eyes or ears, stuff like that. For prompt engineering, usually tell them about the create approach, which is a formula called, the create formula, which is basically define the AI's role using the character and the request, examples, adjustment, type of output, and extras. Character is for the AI role, request specifics about what I need, the examples for what should be outputted, how it's being inputted. Um, Adjustment is for refining the prompt if it's not perfect, like adding more stuff, the type of output, and the extra is for unique instructions that they could follow. Now, then collaborating with data engineers, how to ensure you're aligned on data requirements and data governance. Usually, what I do is that has to do with mainly how we treat data of our users, of our clients. Usually, they have an expert or a data policy that everybody should know. That's what I asked for, since I know that data management is a really important field in our world, since it's really a question of privacy and it's a question of morality and usage about the data. So usually what I do is ask about the data content policy and do what they tell me to do. Generative AI and large language models are growing really fast. How do you stay up to date with the latest tool frameworks or research? What AI skills are causing? Improving, um, influence your thinking, commerce, new technology. No, yeah, yeah. Well, usually what I do is when I subscribe to a new API, to a new model, to a new something, they ask if you want to join their newsletter. That happened to me with Google Cloud when I created my Google Cloud, and the Google AI Studio as well. That's how I get in touch with everything that's happening right now and the latest of the tools like BO3, like, yeah, many of the different things that the latest that I read was about BO3 and the development of their visual and video generation. Unfortunately, it's kind of pricey, but you know, um, how do you evaluate whether they are worth using? It depends on the use case. Depends on the use case because you cannot use like a a a sword to cut butter, even though a sword it's designed to cut. If you want to cut butter, just use a butter knife. It's easier. That's how you evaluate stuff here. You cannot use a big tool for a simple request. What other ethical considerations do you think are important when building AI models? Have you ever encountered bias or unintended questions on AI systems you worked on? If so, how do you identify and address those issues? Um, the main issue that I find here, if it violates data policies, mainly when creating the AI model, like when sharing data to it to train it, and also how the AI model is gonna behave when it's done, how it's gonna treat the data. Like, for example, I'm gonna train an AI model for detecting if someone's ugly by sharing what people consider ugly people or ugly pictures. That's using the data from someone else's face or someone else's um, feelings, and the output of that would be if someone uses that AI to share with them that they're ugly or someone else is ugly, it's kind of a problem because it can cause situations with personal information, with personal feelings and stuff like that. So I think mainly has to do with how we handle the data and how we get that data, and if that data it's ethical to use it in the way we use it. Now, if I asked you, your manager, what they appreciate so about working with you, what do you think they would say? Well, Edwin was my last boss, let's say boss from freelance while working on Fitbird. Um, they would say I'm a hard worker. They would say I'm a hard worker because they told me you can work these kind of hours per week. We do not have a schedule. You just have to do these per week. And I told them, well, I'd like to have a less hard workload on the day because I have different projects to work as well. So I will work also on weekends, but I'll do less hours between working days because those I'm gonna complete in the weekends. And she said, "Wow, this is great! I've never had somebody that you did that." Also in my town, Santa Marta, usually the lights go out, so I prepared myself buying a UPS so that when that happens, I am ready and doesn't any not any of those issues come out when I work. So it doesn't matter if there's no power, I will still work on my projects. Can you tell me about across how you collaborate across different teams, especially people who have different skill sets or perspectives? Well, usually what I do with sharing across different teams, it's to be humble, because I do not know everything. Even though I know a lot about my field, if my field had something to do with social media or with digital content, I know the AI is not an expert, and if I think the AI is failing, and the other guy, oh, I think the AI is doing a good work, and the social media guy tells me it's not doing a great work, I will follow their advice. I know I'm not the the I'm not an expert in everything, so the better the feedback, the better the job's done, right? Because the most important thing here is not if I'm right or if I am wrong. It's that the job is done and the job is done in a very good way. That's how we ensure also quality, because that's really important as well. How do you stay adaptable, keep learning in such fast-moving space like AI? Mainly because I'm an engineer student, and basically, this is what I do for a living. I enjoy this. I enjoy coding. I enjoy building stuff for AI. I have a bunch of projects that I haven't even shared in my portfolio. They're personal ones that I built for myself, just for fun. So yeah, that's how I keep learning. Basically, experimenting, doing different stuff, creating stuff just for fun. What drives you to create AI, and what kind of work environment helps you to your best work? Well, especially with the way that you handle like the AI creative process. I've been doing this basically working as a freelancer, so I'm basically my own boss. I want to know how it is to work with an agency like you guys, that is really like big right now, and AI strategy and integrate and basically integration. I've been told that you're an integration firm for AI, that you basically help organizations to use AI to improve their processes and growth. And so I want to know how that looks like a big specialized team in mainly AI tools and automations. So I would like to know how do you guys do it? I know I'm very good by myself, but I want to know how the big guys do it. So yeah, this is basically my answers for everything, and I hope you like them.